well, I mean, literally, he is a mix between East and West. He's a Russian guy, but like, there's a lot of anime in his style and also a lot of Western animation. So, I mean, in particular in Hotel Transylvania, there's a scene where Dracula's running down a bunch of hallways and he's doing like his anime run where he's got his arms behind him. And I'm just like, wow, I love that, man. Yep. I'm down with
I gotta
Jack.
watch.
It's something you never thought you need to see.
What is it called? Hotel for Dracula?
Hotel for Transylvania.
I gotta see Hotel for Dracula.
What's your favorite besides your show?
Oh, okay.
And should we just say now?
And Mucha Lucha.
So
what are your favorite shows?
Mikey works on We Bear
I haven't
Bears.
introed the show.
What's your favorite animated show besides the one that you work on?
My favorite animated show? Oh, there's so many. The Simpsons Will Always Reign King.
Sure. Yes. Great.
One of my favorites, Clone High.
Fuck yes.
I've never seen Clone High, but I know
unbelievable,
that I must.
super fun.
That's not Vince Gilligan. Who is
Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
Yeah, the two.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that was the guy that did Scrubs.
Oh, he was the producer, but not the creator.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Phil Lawrence.
So was that Phil Lord, Chris Miller's like first?
Yeah, they had some sort of deal where they were pitch a bunch. They were at a college, pitch a bunch of stuff. They pitched over 40 things, and the one that was picked was Clone High.
And then it got canceled in like a season and a half because MTV doesn't know how to handle it.
Doesn't have a history of long-standing animated programming aside from Beavis and Butthead.
That's
and
so
Daria.
funny because there's so much talent over at Viacom with Nickelodeon. Like you would think that they would have like someone come in and go like, yeah, maybe this is how you should.
Well, the trick of not only selling a cartoon for MTV is to sell the idea that you should watch a cartoon on MTV.
Yeah, that's true.
So you got to sell two things, which is harder than just if you had a cartoon on Nickelodeon, which everyone's like, oh, I got to go there for my cartoon.
Right. Absolutely.
We had 2003's MTV's Spider-Man, which
I think I remember that.
Was sort of.
It was like the weird cell-shaded.
They were kind of being
Neil
like
Patrick Harris as Spider-Man.
Yeah, Neil Patrick Harris
I
as
didn't know
Spider-Man,
that.
which annoyed the shit out of me because he's doing the least Neil Patrick Harris-y voice he's ever done. He's always like, I don't know, MJ. I don't know.
Come on.
And you're like, dude, just talk like you because you would sound like
But he wasn't a
great
brand at the
Peter
time.
Parker.
He wasn't a brand
but
until
we
3
know
years
what his
later
voice
when
sounds like.
He was really nobody. He was like pretty much a relatively unknown at that point. He was Doogie Howser and then nothing for a very long time until Harold and Kumar kind of resurrected his career as
He was
like
the psychic in Starship Troopers.
Yes, he was.
Well, this changes nothing about what I'm saying. I just meant when I'm watching it, I know what his voice sounds like normally.
Yes,
so it's like, why are you doing this weird, like dark hero voice? You should just be taught. You'd sound like a Grace.
Why don't you do Doogie?
Yeah, do Doogie, man.
Yeah,
Do Doogie.
I do Doogies most days. Hey guys, welcome to Reasonable Beef, everybody.
Hey.
Oh no. Hey. My name is Tim E. Kish. I'm here with Dom Farah.
Hey.
And also, who's joining us today it's
Mikey Heller.
Mikey Heller. Who are you, Mikey Heller? Tell us all about.
I am a comedian and cartoon writer.
He's a comedian and cartoon writer. What's the show that you're cartoon writing?
Cartoon Network's We Bear Bears.
Hell yeah. Mikey Heller is a guy.
That's me.
Yeah.
And he's joined us today to discuss something great.
Yes.
Great.
A wall that was great. A movie,
Right.
not so much.
Wow. Fucking
Yeah, not as good as The Wall.
Hi, everybody. We saw The Great Wall,
Yeah.
2017 movie, directed by a man who I'm not even going to try to pronounce.
Zhang Yimou.
Zhang Yimou.
There you go.
Very famous Chinese director, starring Matt Damon.
Right.
Very famous,
Very famous.
not Chinese man.
Famous Chinese man.
In Great Wall. Yeah, and this is the 100% realistic legend of how the Great Wall was built.
Yes.
yeah.
And
Well,
formed.
not how it was. It had already at that point existed for centuries.
Yeah, why it was built.
Because of greed.
Keep out the monsters.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How cool is it that they were aliens? Right? They were aliens.
Oh yeah, they kind of
were
were, weren't they?
aliens.
Yeah, they were aliens.
That's cool.
No, but were they, or
Well,
did
no,
the
'cause
meteor just open them up?
They
Open up the
explained
mountain.
it as a way. They explained it in a way. It's like, oh, the God sent it because we're greedy, and that sounds like the perfect, terrible reasoning someone would give as to why there's fucking aliens invading. Plus, they kind of look like the Attack the Block alien.
Oh, that's it. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. The whole time I was like, this is making me think of something.
Yes, they're
Yeah.
shaped exactly like the Attack the Block aliens. They're just not nearly
Yeah.
as cool looking.
No.
Or as fluffy.
Because you see them all the time.
Yeah.
Let's just launch into it. How
Sure.
about they play that like sort of not quite showing you the monster game for the first 5 minutes of the movie,
Yeah.
and then 5 minutes later show you a million
It's
of
two
them.
more than you ever wanted.
There
to
were a lot of there were 3 types.
There were
Right,
okay.
Main type,
Yeah.
which were like the big green dog bear things.
Yeah. Mhm.
Then there was the ones that had stuff on their heads and they were bigger.
They
Yes.
looked like
They
the
were
spitting,
and they were around the
dinosaurs.
queen.
They were the bodyguards for the queen.
The queen who shakes her head,
and they all had the
Yeah.
gills that would talk to each other.
I actually think the creature design's kind of cool. I kind of thought it was neat.
I
mean, it's
think
not
the whole
super
idea was
inspired.
cool.
Yeah, I mean,
That was a fine-
This is actually a Max Brooks story.
Yeah.
War's the writer of World War Z.
Very
So he conceptualized the story, and then they're just like, yeah, well, let's do this in China, I guess.
Well, you know what's so weird about the weirdest part about this movie is that it is a Chinese co-production.
Yes.
So it is mostly funded by the Wanda Group, which is a Chinese conglomerate that owns Legendary Pictures as of last year.
That's
wow,
fascinating.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
And they're buddy with the Communist Party of China as well. So
Sure.
like they're really cool with the state itself. So this is like kind of a state. I don't want to say sponsored movie, but it's like a state. Definitely big nod saying this is okay.
The intention of this movie is to create basically a Chinese film that will do well all across the world and especially America.
And
but
it's
the
really-
results were very different.
Sure. And I mean, like conceptually, that is the idea of what it should have done. And
Yeah.
the director says like this is like a big deal that Chinese film has grown to this point that we can afford to do this. I guess that probably explains why they banked 100% on like the spectacle and nothing on anything else.
Yeah, that it's really unfortunate. I mean, I'm not defending the movie because it's not very good.
No.
but
it's not.
But it's not-
necessarily
it's
bad.
not very-
it's
so,
very
it's
bad.
so nothing.
my problem is it felt really stale the
Sure,
whole time,
yeah.
and just stuff was just like either on the nose or just not as imaginative as it could be. And knowing I've only seen House of Flying Daggers, which is Zhang Yimou's,
Which I've never seen, but yeah.
but I and that was a long time ago. But I know that he is a revered. One of the biggest directors in China ever, and I feel like it seems like this movie might not be. And I know that in even his recent films, not just this one, people have criticized them for feeling a bit more blockbustery than his more grounded work from before.
But he's always been a very visual filmmaker. I mean, there's
a lot of that in there, but there's a lot of like 3D pleasing shots, and I get kind of tired of those.
I didn't. Did you see it in 3D?
How much of it is
didn't.
the pressure on him though to like
That's exactly
to make
it.
this?
That's so.
Yeah.
When I was like, but wasn't it like his film and his project to forward Chinese cinema into America? But then, as you said before, this is a Max Brooks story, and the screenplay and story was also crafted by the guys who did Last Samurai.
Yeah.
So
that's so funny.
There is this two sides that are working for this movie.
So we were actually just talking about The Last Samurai, just as an aside.
Oh, really?
There's this video game that just came out called Nioh, Nioh, and it's based on a who's the Seven Samurai guy? Most famous Japanese director of all time. What the fuck's his name? Akira Kurosawa.
Yeah,
duh. And it's based on a Kurosawa script called Oni, about this like Western guy who comes to Japan and basically becomes like the number one best guy, which is pretty much what The Last Samurai was. So a lot of it is thinking like, did this script turn into The Last Samurai and also this game Nioh? So it's like the same script diverged on two paths. On one side, The Last Samurai; on the other, this anime ass video game. Yeah. So it's just like I don't know. So story and who conceptualizes the story really doesn't matter all that much when you really think about it. It's all about the further execution beyond it.
Well, it's always execution. I mean, you could say that about any relationship. I mean,
it's just crazy
down
how
to,
little it actually matters.
Yes.
Is what I'm saying.
It's like it's the thing of like, and it's I don't know if it's exclusively a foreign film thing. I think that part of it comes from subtitle translations and stuff like that. But it has this weird syndrome of like you go from Matt Damon and Pedro Pascal. Yeah. I'm gonna say Pascal. But Pascal. Them kind of in what felt like a now sort of like friends in the action movie relationship thing, and it sort of felt a little like what Star Wars is turning into now, and it sort of felt a little bit like what the Marvel movies are doing as far as like all the two dudes who always fight together.
What it felt like was an overeager pastiche of Western buddy.
That's a big criticism in China for the film, is that it feels too American.
Yeah, it's very much, you can feel it. It's a Chinese guy trying to make an American
But then that's
movie.
what I'm saying. But then what I was getting at was that you go from like that, which again, it was like it was super familiar, so it wasn't like rocking my world, but it was at least charming enough. I felt like when they were together and talking to each other, and then you would get the thing where, and again, maybe it's just like a subtitle it's like it's just the symptom of seeing the words instead of hearing someone perform it, but you'd get the like, as you know, you are my daughter, and you're like, I don't. If there's this weird like dead behind the eyes quality to certain like.
Are you talking about like the Chinese translated text of how it doesn't? Yeah,
but so what I was also saying was like it's in concept the whole thing of like, you know, he has the daughter and he's the general right now, and then he dies, so she becomes the new general and all that. Like, there's obviously a way. There's always, we say this every fucking episode. There's always a way that could have like really hit and really like knocked your socks off, and you felt for it when he died. And it's not even. I don't even mean it's because like we needed to care.
Yeah, not in 103 minutes.
But it's also
which is how long this movie is,
and it didn't feel 103 minutes.
How long did it
felt
feel?
About 3 hours long.
Yes.
Yeah, it was everyone was just kind of a cardboard person.
Even him, the whole thing. It's
my
like
favorite line in this whole movie is, "Well, that's where we're different. I don't trust anybody." And it's like, okay,
thank you so much.
You're that character.
Yeah, Matt Damon. They would have been better to have cast anyone else.
What do you mean? I don't like. I think anybody. I think he's.
But he
just Western guy.
That's the problem. So what they want is to cast someone so America will go see the film.
Yeah,
sure.
But Matt Damon, I'm not excited by the idea of him fighting monsters.
Sure.
And
they would have.
He didn't seem very excited either in the movie.
That's true. He did seem very supremely bored.
So I think if they had to, so a lot of people don't like that they went through the white savior route of this movie, even though all the filmmakers have a different idea of it. But if they had to, I would have asked that they get someone who wasn't Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Just because
even if it was Willem Dafoe instead, he was the main guy. He's this weird friggin' like gangly, stretchy man.
His whole thing, I was not keeping track of.
What the hell was that about?
I have no idea. I don't know why he was there.
They were confronted with the fact that there are aliens that are threatening man's existence, and then they'd be like, "Okay, so when are we gonna get that gunpowder?" I was like, "You guys care about that still?"
I guess he's supposed that's why he gets blown up at the end, because he made the wrong choice. It was a greedy choice.
Yeah, but he was around for 25 years. He didn't like where he was at that point.
Well, isn't that
it was obviously a great place?
Is that the theme of the movie though, about how people are punished for greed, right? Where it's like,
that was the whole
but like theme.
And the monsters are green.
Theme, yes.
But I guess it didn't feel like a strong theme.
No, exactly, it wasn't.
They would remind me of it every once in a while, but ultimately, I mean, the stronger arc was that this Westerner comes into an Eastern world and learns how great it is.
Sure.
Right.
But they didn't lean into that as much as, well, he loves gunpowder. And also I would have believed it more if he stayed or something.
See, but it's tough for me because I know how, sorry if there's any Chinese nationals listening, but just how kind of iron-fisted and gross the Chinese government is, of how I can very much see how a Westerner coming to the East and realizing how great it is can clearly be like a political message and a political tool. It's hard for me to take any kind of crossover, like Chinese crossover media at face value, because it's like, okay, what do you, where's the propaganda here? Like, where is actually the thing
But what if it was leaned the other way, where
we've done
Matt Damon comes in and says, "This is how you fight," and then tells everyone how to be fighting.
He's like, you're thinking too much.
I think a lot of people.
I need my bowl.
I think most people have probably assumed that's what the movie was.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And it didn't turn out to be that at all. Like I read an interpretation of he's just some rube with a magnet. Like that's what it ends up being. Like, he's a guy who can fight.
I mean, General Lin saved the day more than he did.
Sure. Yeah. And there's definitely a point to be made of her being the main character of the movie.
I would have liked it if she was. I mean, she was the most interesting part of the movie.
Sure. Absolutely.
But I also didn't think she was like a great actress.
Yeah, sure.
And maybe it's the translate. Maybe it was like the speaking a different language.
Chinese actor speaking English. I mean,
there's I don't know.
She went through way more. You just said that her dad died. She has to lead everybody. She makes those orders to go to the capital to go fight the monsters.
And then she says, we must try the hot air balloons. And then all of her people die. And like she kind of
makes all of the active choices. And then he's just like around.
Well, so Mad Max, right?
His arc is
Mad Max.
to be around.
Sure. Fury Road. Let's draw the comparison right there. Furiosa is really the main character of the movie, but it's called Mad Max. Max. Mad Max is on the posters. Mad Max is just there for most of the movie, and really the whole focus is on this girl. You can't sell the movie for whatever reason on the girl as the hero, though. I guess, I don't know. I don't want to undercut the fact that I didn't hate Matt Damon in this movie, and I think he plays an important role in this movie.
Didn't understand the voice he was doing.
Yes, well,
Yeah, I was really confused. Like, who is this guy?
Was it almost Irish, or like, what was that?
Mini flags. Like, it's changing as he's like doing a bad Native American, and then he's Irish. And
No, I didn't
the
get
Native American thing at one point. I was like,
I didn't get who he was or what he was doing or why he cared about anything.
Pedro Pascal was fun.
it was fun.
Fun with him in this
That's what I'm
movie.
saying. I was happy, like, and so on the gunpowder thing, like, why were they even giving a shit about it? Like, I at least appreciate more now than ever. Like, I would rather know, like, the simple cartoony versions of, like, these guys want the gunpowder because that's what they want, and these guys want to stop the monsters because of them protecting everyone from monsters, and Matt Damon doesn't know yet. And, like, I can just roll with, like, all right, sure, fine, that's clear. Like, when they were all when they were scheming before this battle, and like, oh, so we're gonna when everyone goes to battle, we're gonna go and steal the gunpowder. I was like, okay, I like that I get this. I like that that it is very clean cut about, like, what everybody's up to. But I had this weird moment when Willem Dafoe showed up where it felt like this reverse situation where, like, if you're watching a movie, like, I don't know, maybe it would be just as weird, but, like, we were watching a very American movie, all white actors and stuff, and Asian guy shows up with the American army or whatever, and then you see, like, in the shadows an older Asian man. And they, like, they look at each other and immediately assume that the older Asian man's gonna break them out. Like, I had this weird, like, reverse thing where I'm like,
right, when they're all tied up.
When you're watching this in China, when you see the one white guy who's in the movie, and then he sees another white guy,
he's like,
they immediately were like,
he's gonna cut us free.
So those two are gonna work together.
No, I guess
because
I didn't understand, like.
Anything?
Anything. I just hit myself with a hammer and I don't understand anything. No, but like Willem Dafoe, I just thought he lived there at first.
Yeah.
And I didn't really, I was curious what he was doing. And then he said he was a prisoner. Didn't seem like prisoner. He seemed like he was,
right, but that's like a political prisoner where it's like they just don't let him leave. Like, they let him do what he wants.
Said that the meals here, he's the one who says the meals are good. They're regular. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know, what is the life you want to go to?
Mm-hmm. He wants to be sweaty in the desert with a bunch of gunpowder.
That's what he said. I want to have a bunch of women.
25 years.
Yeah, just waiting for his chance to get out, I suppose. I really think he was there just to establish why she speaks English, why anyone there speaks English. I really think that's what it is.
Yeah, because I was like, you were here 25 years. You got to at least be fine with it now.
Right.
And you couldn't have, I mean, all these battles have been going on.
Well, they haven't yet because it's 60 years apart.
Yeah,
right?
so
this was the first one.
Oh, sure, you're right.
That was the first time in 60 years.
But that makes it even weirder that he doesn't go, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah,
like, why are there alien dogs?
When anyone's presented with that fact, I feel like your goals prior are kind of null and void.
Well, but that does beg the question for how long the wall is.
Also,
are like a bunch of other battles happening, or is it only because that valley is where the monsters come in?
Well, that mountain, the big green mountain was in the background. So I guess
that's true.
So it's just right there.
Why did they build the rest of this wall? Like, instead of just this like mile-long stretch of this valley?
Just in case.
Yeah.
They also say that it took 1,700 years to build the wall.
Well, did they say that we built this wall specifically because of the alien dogs, or was it? I thought in the prescript of the film with the subtitles said that the wall was built for many reasons, and this is one of the legends.
Sure.
Okay.
So I think they always had the wall, and then the aliens came. They're like, oh, thank God.
I feel like
thank God the wall is right near the wall. We'll make sure we fight them at the wall.
Justify this damn purchase.
Really, also lucky that. Less than a mile outside of the wall is where the monsters.
How come the monsters just don't go the other way?
That's true, because they want to get to the capital city, and so they can feast.
You could, travel the other way. Travel up the wall, go around it.
I don't know enough about Chinese geography to explore. I don't know what's to the left or to the right of a wall.
Can they not? Yeah, neither do I. But can they not like be away from their green mountain for too long? Mm-mm. She would always call off and say like, "Let's go home, guys."
At one point, it looked like they were winning big time. The monsters were like fucking everybody up, and then she's like, enough of this.
Yeah, and that seems to be the what the style has been of these battles is eventually the monsters go back home.
Yeah.
Well, so here's the thing. I think the justification behind that was they've killed enough of the monsters, and now she needs to feed, right? Well, because that was the whole thing where she doesn't create things until the guys come back and feed her the meat that's in their stomach.
Right.
So I guess she was just trying to regroup and make more guys, so the next time they came at the wall, they would hit it harder and kill all of them.
She just wants to eat and breed.
Yeah, just like me.
Every 60 years?
Yes. Look,
What are they doing for 60 years?
You guys are harping on the wrong thing.
Why don't they try to
the lore of the movie?
Why don't they try to kill them while they're sleeping during that 60-year period?
I don't know why they just. Well, they said they literally have a line in that where he goes, "Why don't you go to the wall?" It's like people have tried, they died. It's like, yeah, well, people are dying here too. Like you might as well give that a shot, like a couple more times.
What I didn't like is when they very suddenly were like, a magnet. And then they said magnets make them weak, but we don't really know that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was very suddenly out of nowhere, and it's like, well, I got a magnet, and we should try it. And now, okay, so you're
Also,
a savior just because
out.
you thought to have that idea?
They also didn't. I understand that once it eventually like became useful, but it almost makes it more offensive that in the beginning, I mean offensive like narratively, when he's like, what about this magnet when they're like deciding to travel? Like, what about this magnet? You think we should take this? And
Magnet.
He's like,
not
nah.
rock.
Yeah, it's a magnet, just so you know. It looks a lot like just a big rock, but it's not.
It's a magnet.
And then he's like, I'll take it.
Yeah,
And they don't really. It's not like he.
He's truly a great man, for he kept the magnet. I was definitely a moment of
Chinese
like, I wonder how that magnet will come in later, huh?
I want him to remake this movie where it's like a big, like red-handled magnet, and he's just walking around with a big Acme-style magnet.
Yeah.
So I do want to talk about the intro of this movie real quick, where they're being chased by the hill tribes, and before they actually get to the wall, and it's the slowest horse chase of all time.
Yeah.
Do you guys notice how slow they were riding these fucking horses?
I even just in horse chase in general is a thing I think cinema wise we're done with unless something changes real quick. Because like
true.
when I was watching it and watching the cut back and forth between the bad guys on the horses and the good guys on the horses, after about the third cut, I was like,
I get it.
We peaked at Hidalgo.
Yeah.
Hidalgo. I don't know, man. I just think that's like there were weird little nuggets of that even in some of like the fight parts of it. As poppy and as insane as some of the fight moments were, there were like kind of weirdly outdated. Like, is that because like is that a symptom of someone who was trying to do American blockbuster?
Probably.
Maybe.
I feel
And
like
then
we
got a horse chase that's like kind of weird and like
you could attribute a lot of it to that. I
mean,
think.
any blockbuster will always be watered down. I don't know.
But
now
is
that
it,
I think,
though?
I know I was thinking, well, there's a lot of great movies out there.
we talk a lot about the Marvel movies and how they've kind of elevated blockbusters. For better or for worse, whatever you think, the Marvel movies have kind of changed the way it is. You can't just do a big, dumb, idiot action movie anymore and expect it to kill. And I feel like this is kind of a return to form to the old style, like pre-2008 American stupid movie. Like, I don't know. The movie that kept coming to mind as I was watching this was I kept thinking of D-War.
Dragon Wars. I knew you were going to say that before you said it.
I was just remember thinking about it because I'm just like, it was the same sort of middle of the road.
Oh, you know what movie I was thinking of was Reign of Fire.
What's that one?
It has Christian Bale and it's a dragon
movie. And
cool idea.
But like, it's not. You just said what's that, and that's I think the legacy of the film.
Yeah.
I'm
Makes
sure
me
it
think
did.
of Pete's
It probably
Dragon.
did fine. when it
That
came
movie
out.
stuck with me. That was one of those ones I just saw at a random time as a kid, and it for some reason burned it because I think it scared me because it like
dragons.
opens in like modern day London or whatever, and then it's like this little kid for whatever reason is going down into a mine.
He picks the wrong rock.
He's like looking for he didn't have
for
the
a magnet.
magnet.
He's looking for a magnet.
And he's going to find his mom. He's trying to find his mom, and like everybody in the mine starts freaking out because there's like it feels like there's an earthquake and it's all going to cave in. And then he at one point like comes face to face with a gigantic dragon, and then it cuts forward like 30 years, and it's like dragons have taken over Earth, and now all the humans are in hiding underground and stuff because of dragons.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's sick.
And it takes it's just same thing where it's like you got to kill. Oh, for them it was male, but there's one male dragon. You got to kill the big. So it's all about the one.
Yeah,
they all have this insect logic where it's just the one you got to kill, and it'll kill the rest.
Well, so that's really the trope, right?
What was
where
weirdly,
you have to kill the
was
queen.
video gamey, right?
Yes.
Where it was like, and they even like the way they're explaining it. I was expecting them to be like, and circle is how you do, the forward slash. Like it was like
press B.
Yeah, double tap.
He literally is saying like,
go for the eyes.
Yeah, he's like, go shoot for the eyes, and it's the queen.
That's
Those
their weak
ones
point.
are protecting the queen.
And it works like this when they they just kind of give you the step by step.
When they're sitting at the wall, like when Matt Damon and Pedro are like sitting against the wall when they're all tied up, and he's like, it seems the blue soldiers.
Yeah.
What about the red soldiers? What is that?
The red-
Oh, they're the
they're
archers.
They're the archers. Yeah.
Do you
about
need
the
to hear it
purple?
again?
The purple and the yellow and all the
Yeah.
other fucking colors. You didn't tell me what they
I know.
did.
I was weirdly
so
like,
mad.
I'm kind of hungry for the rest of this breakdown now that
Right.
you gave it
Yeah,
to
yeah.
me.
Well, so, and that's another thing in Eastern media, like specifically, we could talk about anime, where it's all about laying out the rules. Like they always do that ahead of time, like, oh, this is the red faction. Like they control like fire magic and they're like this. And I was, if you're doubling down on it, double down on it. Like,
Yeah.
tell me how the wall works. Tell me how the nameless order operates. And then they don't. And it's just like kind of useless information just for you to go like, oh, when I see a red guy, I know he's going to be shooting arrows.
Well, also, who cares? Why do we need to know that?
Yeah, I don't
'Cause
know.
We don't.
Exactly.
You
I
don't
guess
need to
it's-
know that there's a guy who, when it's like, oh, okay, he's about to shoot
Sure.
an arrow.
And also the completely ineffectual female-only jump off the wall and die core.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Well, so they're in the beginning more so in like the first battle.
Which is in the first 10 minutes of the film,
first
by the
10 or
way.
so minutes, right?
Insane to do a $20-30 million battle scene in the first 10 minutes of your movie.
That's cool. That's cool. There were moments in that too where I appreciate, because it did feel so paint by numbers for so much stuff, and it was so like, all right, this isn't like really grabbing me. That like when the girls are jumping off the thing and bouncing up on the ropes, and then one of them just gets fucking
Yes.
bitten in half and dragged along the ground. I literally, like, in the theater, as I'm like, because you're sitting in there, you're kind of bored a little bit, and you're like, yeah, sure. And then I was like, oh,
Yes.
Like, Jesus Christ.
I had the exact same
I also
reaction.
liked, you said, like, the people they didn't really freak out every time they saw the monsters, but I appreciated when the one, because from Matt Damon and Pedro's perspective, they couldn't see what the things were yet, which in a different movie, it would have been fun to play with the fact that in that whole first battle, they couldn't see what the monsters were.
Right.
I went back and forth. I'm going to go, there's a bunch of tangents here. When that battle started, I remember having the thought, oh, neat that it's daytime.
Yeah.
Like, we're not doing our like monsters attack.
Where is it?
At midnight.
Well, I can't see it.
You can't see them and blah, blah, blah. I was like, cool. We're just, sure, wide open. But it would have been neat also, like, if it was at night and if they were still tied up and we were very much with them for that battle, we didn't get to see the monsters coming up. So then because for all they don't know what the fuck they're shooting at the whole time.
That's true.
And then but then you see on their reactions when the first monster comes over the wall and gets on the top, they both have the, oh!
Yeah, what the fucking fuck?
What the fuck is that thing?
Would have almost been like you almost don't even need to have them fight the monster. Have that be the moment where the magnet comes into play, where it's coming at them, they're tied up, and then it sits down, then it stops.
But you can't reveal the magnet's purpose so early in
Sure,
Act
but I
One.
guess but you don't talk about the magnet. Like, you don't like cut to the magnet and go like woo.
It's
and
like
then
something
stops.
about it.
It just does. It just does stop.
Also,
And-
Instead of having someone be like, magnets make them weak.
yes.
Magnets make them sleepy.
Tactician Wang.
Do we have a
What do you
magnet?
think?
Does anyone on the plane have a magnet?
Strategist Wang. They couldn't
Dude,
call him
I love
Wang.
Strategist Wang.
Yeah. I'm a Wang strategist.
Like, do we-
when I think about it. Yeah. But yeah, I at some point, and I keep trying to make this happen, but no one starts doing it except for me when we're doing these. But I wanted like the punch up game, not even a game, but just like, so what do you do in that moment to like make it a little stronger? What would have been the more interesting avenue to go down for? Like, even with the magnet,
Sure.
if they knew it was a magnet, but no one else knew it was a magnet. And if, again, it's like, instead of that they come there and they're the best fighters, which is always weird. Anytime you have the thing where there's people who have been training for something for literally their entire lives and they're the best warriors and they're guarding the wall from monsters, and then when someone else just shows up and like kills
I
them
think
really
that's
easy.
a part of the movie that's like at war with itself, where like he comes in, he's like, I'm a little extra spice and I'm gonna make everything work a little bit. But
I'm a little
a
extra
part of his I'm a little spice in the war mix here. But a part of his internal thing, especially in that beginning fight scene, is marveling at their military style and their groupthink and the way they work for each other, because he's a loner guy.
Right.
So he's just gonna join them and do their thing, but also be the best at it. So I think it's a weird thing.
Yeah.
I think it conflicts with
Well,
itself.
there's a Western thing.
That's the white savior.
Well, that's
thing.
the Western trope. Not even necessarily the Western or the white savior, but the the guy who has hands-on experience versus like the prisses who've trained. Sure. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, I've been in this shit my whole life.
But he admires the training.
Yeah.
He thinks it's great.
Right.
And they admire his skill, like his whatever
can shoot
skill
bowls with
he
arrows.
just picked up. And I think, but I also think that they don't say that one is any better than the other.
Sure.
And the relationship between the general and him reflects that, where they have like this mutual respect for each other, which doesn't end in romance at all.
Very much appreciated,
which
right?
is kind of cool.
Didn't see
However,
that.
part of me, again, where I'm thinking like, oh, can they not show a Chinese woman with a white guy? Like, is that not like a thing that would be cool with like the Chinese audiences? And that's just where my brain went with that. But I'm not sure because I don't know what that it's like, and I know that interracial stuff is I mean, it's iffy here, but it's also iffy over there, probably even more so because there's such like a hegemonous
I
society.
hope that's not what it was, because I did think it was cool, and sure, it's sequel fodder or whatever you want, but like I liked that it was like you definitely thought they were gonna kiss at that last one.
Yeah, sure. And they were just like partners in fighting. It's kind of cool.
They didn't even do the lean in or anything. Like there was none "Are we gonna kiss" moment. It was just like you thought you were putting those pieces together, and then they're just like, sweet, you
and
rock.
that's the most logical thing about the movie. It's like there's fucking alien jaw dogs. Let's not fuck right now.
Yeah.
Like let's fucking focus for a second.
Yeah.
Visually, pretty cool movie. I don't know. There was some stale. There was a lot of stale stuff. A lot of pastiche of Western stuff. But then you have like a final fight scene in a rainbow tower, like with stained glass.
Yeah. Was it weird to have a movie about the Great Wall, but the whole end of it didn't take place at the Great Wall?
Absolutely.
I think there was no other way to do it though, because like
the wall was getting fucked constantly.
Once we saw
barely stood.
I liked, and you were saying, show me how the wall works earlier, and I did actually have the thought when I was watching it. There was a point in the beginning where they were showing how a lot of the like mechanisms fired and stuff. Yeah, and I was like, oh, this is neat. And again, this is like the first 10 minutes or so. I was still kind of like hoping for the best. And so when I was seeing these things, that I was like, okay, that's cool. They're kind of showing me something I haven't seen. Oh, cool. We see how they fire rocks. Neato.
Do you know what my punch up for this movie would be? Primary one, change the title. There's no reason for this to be called The Great Wall. I mean, it's real. Again, just like Mikey said, it doesn't really end on the Great Wall. It's the last 30 minutes aren't even on the Great Wall, and it falls in the first 10 minutes. Like they get past the Great Wall at the first battle. Right? Yeah, they're already on top of it. They're already beyond the wall.
That's my question about towards the end when they're like, oh, let's go to the capital city. Did they have to cross the wall to get there? Or did they just
went under? They tunneled.
Oh, okay. Sure. I got so confused.
That was we didn't think about that. And I think that was why the queen backed off in the fights. Yeah. That maybe makes sense. Because then they were basically like, oh, the fight, they were distracting us on top of the wall while we were fighting them, but meanwhile other ones were burrowing underneath. And then that was how they got.
I kind of think some of the CGI was rad. Specifically the last scene where you see the grunts like swarming around her as her guards are kind of protecting her from it. I'm just like, all right, that looks kind of cool, I guess. Just you get a real sense of how overwhelming the threat is. And I think
there were a lot of them.
Yeah.
I mean, just by virtue of showing a lot of a thing. And like, that's simple, but that's also kind of demanding to create that much of a thing on screen and and render that.
I always and it's weird, and because it's literally shot by shot. There's different people doing it. They give more attention to one thing and than the other thing. But see, it's amazing when one of the ones that has a lot of them in it looks okay, because those ones are the ones that it starts looking like a video game, and it starts looking like the horde coming, and you just got to hack and slash your way through. But I liked when we had some of the moments where you're real up close in one of those things' faces, because they had like cool designs on their skulls and stuff. They had like
their eyes were back here,
and their eyes were for whatever reason.
Shoulder eyeballs.
Yeah. But it would always be like those weird intimate close up moments, and where you could see that they were like kind of wet and stuff. That stuff always, I'm like, in any monster thing. Like there's, I think in Batman vs Superman, there's a part when Doomsday first wakes up. I thought he looked infinitely better when he was just kind of standing there and we were really close, and you were just like, fuck, that's like unsettling. That looks like a fleshy,
the cave troll from Harry Potter 1.
Yeah, right. Well, he didn't look so good.
Well, now he doesn't. I remember at the time thinking that it was just like
state of the art.
Yeah.
Well, even the especially in those early Harry Potter movies, anytime they made the characters CGI, like whenever Harry's getting tossed around, it looks insane. It's a PS2 cutscene.
Oh, have you ever watched Men in Black on Blu-ray?
No,
you gotta.
Don't do that to me.
It's so funny because they did not make this movie for Blu-ray. They didn't know Blu-ray existed.
Oh, of course not.
And there's this, all sorts of scenes, but the one I remember most is Tommy Lee Jones is talking to someone, and then Will Smith's in the background, and a tentacle is dragging him around the car, and it looks like worse than a video game.
Right.
It's just like,
Wait, is he?
Well, it's 1987.
Right? But
So
it's
it's
it looks so in Blu-ray. It looks so fun.
Is Will Smith CGI in that part?
Yes.
Oh man.
Take a look sometime. Rent a Blu-ray and on
Well, that's
Black.
fascinating because you run into a similar thing with retro video games, where if you play a retro game like an NES or Super Nintendo game on an HD TV, like the character sprites look like nothing. Like they just look like a bunch of garbled dots, and it's like, oh shit, they create it for the limitations of the medium and nothing more than that, because they don't need to. Everything else is a waste of money. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really interesting when you go back and stuff like that. To look at that and go like, wow, that looks like garbage, but I guess that was an economical decision.
And
that was the right decision at the
when-
time to make the money at the time.
But when you see something old like that and it holds up or it looks better, or
But it
whatever.
rarely does, especially with computer graphics.
Yeah, no, not with computer stuff is hard because that.
But supplemental computer graphics always look good. Spider-Man 2 still looks pretty good. There's a couple shots in it where you're like, meh,
even
but
the first
supplemental
one, there's
with practical effects.
ones in the first one. Like I even think of like when he's on the bridge when he swings up onto the bridge for the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Some of that CGI is like it looks better than some stuff where you're seeing it like even recently or in the most recent Spider-Man movie.
Because
and
taste never goes out of style.
Is it because it's on? Is it because it has the film thing working for it? Because it's almost like it's not as sharp, just generally speaking. It kind of. I mean, yeah, it's sharp as it can be, but it sort of has the like graininess as a crutch. I don't know.
I haven't watched those Spider-Man movies in such a long time.
Go back and give it a watch. But
I just revisited all of the X-Men movies. I wanted to watch them all in a row and see what it felt like in sequence.
How does it feel?
It was quite the ordeal. But the first two X-Men movies hold up a lot. In fact, I kind of didn't like them for a long time, and then I watched them recently, and I was like, I guess I haven't watched them since I was a teenager.
I love the X-Men movies because each one is a cultural barometer for what superhero movies are doing at the time. There's no continuity really between any of the movies.
Sure.
For not story continuity, but thematic continuity. It's very much whatever is popular at the time is what the X-Men movie is doing.
What you get more is it's exactly that, a narrative of how films are being done.
Yes,
and it's
exactly.
It's weirdly like educational, just to see the track of where things go in this one weird timeline of a franchise.
Absolutely, because you look at
really
X-Men 1 and it's okay, so this is the Matrix, and then you look at First Class and it's like, okay, so this is Iron Man. Like that's what they're kind of, or Captain America rather would probably be a more apt comparison. I don't know. I think
they're
it's
always
fascinating.
chasing something.
That's really interesting.
They're always behind. They're like always one step behind, which is the comedy of it. And that's why, I don't know, I think that's why Logan's going to kill, is because it's really for the first time.
Well, I watched The Wolverine, and I thought it was pretty good.
I enjoyed it.
Good.
It's
pretty good.
I was like, oh, well, if he's making that one, it's going to be good.
But again,
better.
the Wolverine would fit right in the Marvel Universe continuity. That could be a perfectly fine Marvel movie. Like if you could set that in the Marvel Universe and have it logically make sense, because it's so disconnected from the other movies.
And then there's even like a giant robot samurai, silver samurai.
Big ass robot samurai at the end that steals his adamantium for no particular reason at all.
That part was a little cartoony, but I was fine with it.
Wait, so are they going to deal with that?
No,
are we ever dealing with that? Got erased because of the timeline.
That's
thing.
my favorite. So
who cares?
A lot of these more recent ones I've not watched, and I got a hold of watching them. And my favorite part is that, for the most part, all the X-Men movies didn't happen, really.
Yeah.
But that's how Wolverine remembers it. So he is this centric character who holds everything we feel, and he's only got one more movie left. And they're probably wondering, what are we going to do without that guy? He's the only barometer of what people feel and know.
I completely forgot that was how Days of Future Past ended, was that he still remembered the other version.
And Patrick Stewart's like, let me fill you in on what actually happened. But like,
did anyone see Apocalypse?
So when you watch,
no, I still
haven't seen it.
Oh, it's
I think I saw about half of it.
It is not a great movie. It is like everything that was sort of like that. Some movies you might have some fun with, but there's these issues that are like, well, that's probably why it's not a magnificent movie. These things. All of those things are the focus of that. All of its faults and all of its things that are weird about it. just don't work.
I was just talking about this with Nick we'll talk more about this on the Logan episode a couple weeks from now.
Oh yeah, save it for the Logan.
I just to touch on this point real quick of how they reinvented what Wolverine is with these movies, whereas Wolverine is a strong fighter because he's immortal and he throws himself into every fight just because he can't die. So like he doesn't really have any particular training. He's just like a fucking killing machine because he doesn't die and he just keeps going after people like a Wolverine. Whoa. But in the movies, he's just like a big, tall, muscular dude who could beat ass and is also made of metal and has metal claws.
What's so great is watching Hugh Jackman get more and more
Huge jacked man.
jacked.
Yes.
Because in the first one, he's not like unfit.
He's kind of flabby.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot in the front of him.
Some guy.
And it just gets progressively more built.
Yo, this is the Great Wall episode, wasn't it? Or something like that.
And
like that's how disinterested we are in this
I know,
fucking movie.
And that's the thing. So it's
Like
like
Hugh Jackman in the Great Wall.
I don't know.
So many poor people
Just
would've
put him
seen
in
it.
the wall and have him burst out of the wall at the end of the movie.
it would have.
See Logan.
I think in that we're circling in on like the Great Wall was and what it felt like, which is I think we all went in with very low expectations,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, none.
Like I thought it was gonna be.
I thought it was gonna be garbage.
The
It wasn't
worst
quite
thing I've ever
garbage,
seen. And
but it wasn't.
It was almost worse than garbage. Where I wish it was garbage. It was so bland. And it's like it's just.
You wish
it
there was something fun.
This
to it?
movie was chewed gum. That's what this is. Where you pick it back up and it has no flavor, but you're still chewing it. It's still gum, but it still feels like old and just.
I think you said something earlier about how Marvel changed how how movies are done now for
that is
large
Tim
action
H's
movies.
point. I will just to credit Tim
sure.
if you're listening, please.
But I think this movie is in a different way in the way it was produced is sort of an example of how movies that are huge are made for an international audience.
Yeah.
And how does that affect the movie? So we've seen it so many different ways, and I think this one's a new way where they really wanted to do well here and it didn't. And they really tried. But you've heard about how Batman, they had all the issues with the script and Warner Brothers didn't give a shit.
Yes.
And the reason they don't give a shit is because
killed in China, right?
Yeah, because it's gonna do great. And they're always right. Suicide Squad was one of the worst movies of all time. Made a bunch of money. As long as the intellectual properties are there and you got the explosions, it doesn't need coherency. But then on Marvel's side, they're thinking, hey, people are definitely going to see these Marvel movies now. Just give them to someone who's a bit more interesting now. So these next wave of Marvel movies seem all the more interesting than some of the past ones because they're going another way.
They know we're
they're going to see it.
We're showing up.
So there's these. So now we're seeing all these different ways people handle international audience.
So that's really the divide between DC and Marvel's. Marvel's making it for domestic. DC's making it for international. Where it's that's just the. But you know what the biggest movie franchise in China is, right? By far, biggest action movie franchise. Take a guess. It's something that you would just be like, all right, it's middle of the road. It's Transformers.
Oh.
The Transformers movies are the biggest fucking movies in China. I think Revenge of the Fallen may be the highest grossing movie in China ever. I think I'd have to fact check that, but it's obscene how well those movies did over there. I fact checked that. It is not true. The highest grossing movie in China is actually called The Mermaid, which I've likely not seen because of my distaste for fish people. But while I have you here, why don't you head on over to www.patreon.com/reasonablebeef and donate in whatever amount you want. But if you give $5, you get access to the Mystery Meat Podcast, which is a month-end podcast where we talk about our lives and times and all the media that we've consumed for that month instead of living our lives and loving our families. That's patreon.com/reasonablebeef. I will get that little tune down, ditty down, pat, by next episode. Thank you. Back to the show. And that's why when you're looking at it, you're like, why are they making number 6? Like, I thought we lost interest in this a while ago, entirely an international audience movie.
But they still do pretty good here.
But they do okay here. They don't do the numbers that they should be doing here. But they don't do 6 movie numbers.
We're starting to see how does the studio handle it when a movie bombs here but does great elsewhere.
Because, it doesn't matter.
It's bad news for everyone.
But it doesn't matter because the money's getting made.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't matter to us, but
that's the globalization of the film industry.
That's bad news. I just think.
But is it bad news, though?
I think so far the reactions we've seen are the Warner Brothers reaction. That's what my impression's been. Is that it's been as long as it does well over there, we don't need to worry about whether or not it's.
But is that your ethnocentric opinion where it's just like you're sitting here thinking like, why the fuck what is WB doing? Why the fuck is this happening? And then they're bankrolling. They're making a shitload of money. They think they're doing great because at the end of the day, they're making dividends on it. So I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing or a good thing, because I think that film audiences or film studios having an international audience in mind can end up making movies a little bit less insular when they're not up their own ass about making $1 million fucking bajillion dollars.
But it can also make shit. I mean, it's the same reason you talk about any blockbuster when it's too broad or whatever, when it's not doing a thing, and you're just like, oh, I kind of wish you were just fucking like this. You wish it was doing a thing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of not. So it's like I think that's going global and having to have even more fucking people in mind.
Spread itself too thin.
Besides America and the flyover states and like who's gonna, you know what I mean? Like,
I think the thing that happens to a lot of these movies is when you have an international audience in mind. I think it can be really great. It means that you're thinking of all sorts of people who want to watch the movie. But actually, you're not always servicing audiences. You're servicing like whoever has financed the movie from all these different factions.
True.
And now you have more notes to service, resulting in a more convoluted product.
True. And plus, you do write scripts from a cultural perspective. You have stuff that's, just by virtue of being a human in a culture that thematic elements you want to put in your movie, and then you end up with something that's so generically bland like this.
So that's I've read so many movie books about how the process is done, and it really is a miracle that any movie comes out good.
We say this, that any movie gets made, period.
Yeah.
It's insanity.
But by making the process bigger and bigger, it'll make the miracle of the good movie even more rare.
Sure.
I think. I don't know.
And then
who knows what the hell I'm talking about?
But then do we embrace okay movies when they rise above?
We were just nostalgic for
Reign of
Terror.
Fire.
Right. Yeah,
D-War.
We missed the movies that were smaller.
So we were talking about Van Helsing 2 weeks ago. That's a great example.
But it is. We're always coming back to, and eventually this whole we're just going to start the podcast and go like, it didn't do what it was wanted to do. Bye. And then
we'll do some good movies.
But it's like
The Force Awakens.
It's always the intention thing, and so and the direction that we were talking about with fucking Split and with M. Night and the deftness of hand.
Yeah.
And when if this was in perhaps a different, stronger hand, with every same element, with the exact same story, nearly the same dialogue, it could have maybe you know what I mean, if they were just willing to change some stuff on set some days, same scene by scene, but with someone, again, it's like Dad died, we should care when she now has to lead the army.
But that's funny.
That doesn't necessarily mean a writing thing. That could be, you could play up the moment of her realizing she has to look out over everyone. That's as simple as her standing up and looking out over the fucking whole wall with all these people staring at her.
But also if Zhang Yimou, if Zhang Yimou, the most
one of the biggest directors,
one of the most revered Chinese directors of all time, isn't the deft hand that you need. You know what I mean? How can you overpower the studio? How can you, as an artistic person?
I think ultimately it's still a studio's movie, or still whoever the money's comes. And everyone who's been placed in the movie is just to assure people, don't worry, it's going to be great. So that includes Zhang Yimou, that includes Matt Damon, that includes all the Chinese superstars they have in the movie.
True. And you know what? I wanted to touch on a point real quick about the globalization of movies and just the absolute flavor removal that it does. The Mummy. This new The Mummy movie. I mean, really, when you were thinking about it, of the Mummy movies from the late 90s and the early 2000s, and now, how this is a reboot of the same franchise. Now, yes, it's a reboot of the Universal's The Mummy, right? Which is just, there's a mummy involved, is what that requires.
It's really confusing to me.
But it is so bland. The new trailer of this new movie, it's just so generically bland. And
it's going to be part of one of those cinematic universes.
Yeah.
Can't wait for those are great.
That's gonna be
gotta invest now.
And they ended Monster Squad remake.
But cinematic universes are stupid when they're stupid, when they don't make sense in the first place. But even with something Marvel's doing it because the comics have always been connected. Same thing DC wants to do it because their comics have always been connected. This has always took place in the same universe.
We know the
right?
Mummy and Dr. Jekyll, and
they were always hanging out. But they were hanging out in the old movie. That was the thing. And you do Wolfman meets fucking Frankenstein.
Are we gonna do an Abbott and Costello remake though, just to complete?
Oh, if they're in there,
the reboot of Abbott.
Yeah,
and Costello?
actually, I believe there's already a monster cinematic universe. It's called Abbott and Costello. He got them all together.
You know what?
They were the Nick Fury of the.
There is a legitimate point to be made there, but we'll move on. Sure. I completely agree with that.
I don't know why I felt like I'm because the trailer didn't turn me off completely for the Mummy or whatever.
I don't know.
Yet. Because I'm excited by the idea of the Universal monsters being popping into each other's stuff. Because I like
but
all
if they're just the monsters, like if they're just the monsters in this generic ass action movie, like without any kind of reverence for what those monsters originally were to film, I don't know, dude. I just don't think it's a worthwhile endeavor.
We're gonna get to the Mummy because we're gonna see it eventually. But I see because I think the Mummy is referring to the monster that's in it, but I also think it's him, right? Because he somehow survives. He survives the plane, so he's like immortal or whatever now.
He's the Mummy.
So he's the Mummy, whatever, right? So and I think I can see the again in the writers' room of the Universal monster because they had a whole a powwow where everyone was like, so this is kind of what we want to do. I can see them getting excited about that's the flipping it a little bit.
Well,
right?
it's in London, right? So what if the twist is that he's just someone's mom?
The Mummy.
He's the Mummy.
You know what's funny is to think that they're like, what we need to do is make a franchise with the monster movies. And they're like, well, which one do we start with?
I know.
And they're like, well, people need to go to one that they are familiar with. They already saw The Mummy, right? Remember when The Mummy was the movie everyone saw? Yeah, let's just do The Mummy first.
Sure. Let's do the one that could be a bunch of things. Not the one that has an individual identity.
Everyone's like, I've seen The Mummy, right? I better see it again.
Yeah. I don't understand.
Cinematic universe.
Because they were concerned about Wolfman. Because Wolfman they tried to do Benicio del Toro.
Nah, everyone forgot about that.
And also I, Frankenstein, and also the vampire one, which were all false starts to the cinematic universe that they've been doing. And then they retconned it and go actually, no, that's not the first one. This is the first one. They've done that 3 times.
They're always making those movies. There's always a Wolfman movie.
Not necessarily. The Benicio del Toro movie is the last the Wolfman I could think of.
I guess I'm just legitimately
saying werewolves.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, but even that, werewolves haven't been in vogue in a universal context.
We gotta get werewolves back in.
Dude, I'm telling you might have been joking, but I love werewolves so much more than vampires and any other monster.
Did Nikki not mention her werewolf story?
No.
Don't scare me.
No. She should tell the story, but she used to date a guy who I also knew from college who was so obsessed with werewolves and werewolf movies, he would make werewolf costumes and he would wear them on the full moon.
No, that's just a furry. That's not. That's all that is.
Yeah, he would make teeth. He was like the blood and guts guy, but he was a blood and guts guy. If that makes any sense.
I hate horror fans.
Oh, he was not a fan. He was. He just was it.
He was
a horror. Yeah.
But I want to talk one last point about cinematic universes, and I think the reason why we're so sick of cinematic universes is because of the false starts. There's only really been one. In the last 10, Marvel's been the only fully realized one. DC,
even DC's not.
They've been trying.
Me Too.
Yes, exactly. Where they're trying, and they don't really have an identity yet, which is a problem because they're 4 movies deep. I don't know, dude. I think people get burned out on cinematic. Wonder Woman's number 4. I think people just get so burned out on these kind of movies. Or they get so burned out on the concept of cinematic universes that we've never quite seen it fully realized yet beyond Marvel. I feel like maybe if we gave it a shot, it could work out, but
the next one's
just
the
big
Godzilla
undertaking.
One.
Yeah, interesting.
Right.
Yes.
You know how everyone's like, we need another Kong movie.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm kind of psyched. It looks good. It looks interesting.
Excited enough. I shouldn't be, but I am.
The color orange makes me excited for that movie. I'm dead serious. Where I'm just like, when was the last time I saw the color orange featured in a movie?
Where it was like the sky.
Yes.
Have you seen the Logan poster?
Is it orange?
Oh yeah, he's walking in the sunset like he's Johnny Cash.
So let's bring orange back.
Orange
Ring of Fire.
Come back. Orange and black.
All right. I think we might wrap this.
Great Wall.
Yeah,
Wait, did we see that? Okay, Did you see that on the back of his jacket? It says "For Your Health" in that trailer. I just didn't realize John C. Reilly.
Oh yeah, I
did not process that till I saw the trailer before Great Wall. I was like, oh okay, it's like a Dr. Steve Brule reference.
Oh, is it really?
Like, it's for your health. Like that's his.
That's bizarre.
Maybe they're just having fun.
That's cute.
I guess they are,
it's
but
cheeky. It's a little cheeky joke for you. We're gonna end it.
Why that voice?
I don't know, because it's a.
Don't smell the mic.
I do that all the time.
Don't smell the mic. Your joke didn't get caught there.
Yeah.
We heard what you said.
Okay. We're going to end this on a 3-headed critic. Right. Mikey, this is the rules of this game. You started off, but we each say one word until it's a complete thought about the film.
Okay.
A la Whose Line Is It Anyway or
Whose
improv
Line?
class.
Yeah. And the points, do they
Matter a lot.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
it's an ejector seat you're sitting in.
Oh,
If you get under
shoot.
10, you get a. You just
I gotta do a game with Drew Carey.
Yes.
Oh no. Okay, sure.
Okay,
I start.
Start.
Okay, well, the
Great.
Wall.
was
A
Different
kind
of
shit. But it wasn't
just
though.
done there?
It was a totally generic kind of shit.
but it was a new level of shit because of it being this
the international.
the
creation.
Chinese American co-production.
Absolutely. So and just to wrap it up, I don't want to say that I hated this movie.
No, I didn't hate it.
I nothinged this movie,
Yeah,
which I
it's-
feel like is worse.
I was surprised enough. Not surprised, but expectation was so low that when I didn't hate it. I was like, cool. I walked out like
I
fine.
wasn't wildly offended by anything, only because it was all so familiar anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
So nothing was like, that's the same old stuff I've seen before.
So Rainbow Tower.
Rainbow Tower's
Yeah, some
Hot air balloons.
inspired
Kinda cool.
images.
Rainbow Tower reminded me of Mario 64.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Peaches Slide. I know that shit.
Oh yeah. I was waiting for Slide.
Okay, Mikey, do you have any plugs? Anything coming up cool?
We Were Bears. Episodes are always available.
Okay.
And there should be new ones at some point.
We Bear.
Yeah.
You can't divulge that information exclusively on Reasonable Beef episode 13.
I do not know when they come out.
We'll watch Three Bear Bears, humorous show.
We
Bear
Three Bears.
There
What did I
are
say?
Three of them.
You said Three Bear Bears.
We Bear Bears.
We Bear Bears. It's a weird title.
We Bears. Dom, do you have anything coming up? Cool.
No.
Okay.
I'm working on stuff. I said not yet. Not
Thank
ready.
you, Mikey.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for coming in.
fun.
Thank you so much for seeing Great Wall.
Oh yeah.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful evening or daytime. Bye.
Mr. Potter. Amish celebrity.